Greetings, fellow men. Servus Männer. It's Red Pill Germany again. And today, in the first video from my series, What is Wrong with Germany? I want to talk about the German media, the mainstream media. And if you think that Hillary Clinton and the liberals and the Democrats, that they're all in bed with the media and the media reports favorably for them and basically ganging up against Trump and conservatives, yeah, you are right. However, Germany is way ahead of you guys. So I think the first very important point to make is that the largest part of the German media is actually owned by the state. It is a state media. And the people who are in power, who decide what the program is, who make the headlines there, they are selected by politicians, of course, and most of the time from the Social Democratic Party and the Western German states. Germany is a federal republic, so there are many regional networks, and they are all kind of affiliated, and the different regions have different regional channels owned by the state. And there are also two main central German federal channels, the first and the second channel, and they are also owned by the state. So basically you have to be a member of the Social Democrats or of the Green Party or somehow to be pro-government in order to stay in these channels or to rise through the ranks. And now the kicker is that the funding of this gigantic network of state-owned radio and TV channels is not funded by taxes, but every household in Germany has to pay a monthly fee for that. And it doesn't matter if you have a TV or if you have a radio or if you watch that program or if you hate that program, it doesn't matter. As soon as you have an address in Germany, you pay this fee. And that means they can increase that fee if they like that. Yeah, so they decide themselves how big that fee per household is, so they can basically determine their own funding. I think in Great Britain that is very similar with the BBC, that you also have this kind of radio fee or radio tax. But in Germany it's the same thing, and so they don't have to care about how much they lie to the people, that they actually insult the German worker on a daily basis. Doesn't matter, because you cannot refuse to pay them, and it doesn't matter how many people are actually turning on the TV and switching to that channel. It doesn't matter. They get paid the same anyway. So even though no one would be listening, they would still get paid. And in an outburst of totalitarian cynicism, one of the heads of these networks actually said that this fee, he would label it a democracy fee. So you pay this fee in order to maintain democracy, because these channels are the only thing between us and fascism, right? Yeah, but they lie on a daily basis, of course, just like CNN and just like Fox News. And another point is the German newspapers. Now, a lot of these newspapers are German party affiliated, and there have been research projects that were doing research on the voting behavior of top journalists in the German newspaper business, and it turned out that the majority of them vote for the Green Party, and the Green Party is pretty communist, pretty social justice warrior, and then the communists, and then the Social Democrats, which is something, yeah, like moderate liberals, but they are really SJW, leftist, socialist, yeah. So just a small minority of people in the news business would actually vote center-right. And the center-right party, the Christian Democratic Party under Angela Merkel, it really became a socialist party under Merkel. I don't really consider that a conservative party anymore. This is why we have new parties now. So, and in some outrageous cases, the Social Democratic Party of Germany, so the Labour Party basically, they just buy a newspaper, they buy their own newspapers, and people who read that think that this would be unbiased news, but in fact it's owned by a political party and becomes something like a party newspaper. So you all maybe are familiar with the saying that we cannot make them stop lying, we can just force them to lie in a more outrageous way, so that at some point people will see the truth. And the same is true in Germany. more and more people see that their daily experience has nothing to do with what the media reports and what the media writes about. So more and more Germans distrust the government media, but also the party affiliated quote unquote free press. I mean, they are free, yeah, as long as you agree with them, otherwise you're fired. And there is no diversity in the newsroom. You know, they want diversity, but there is no intellectual diversity. You have to be a leftist. If you're not a leftist, you're fired. And a lot of journalists have been fired, and they are now working for the independent media, for the rebel media of Germany, if you want to put it that way. Many conservative or just true liberal journalists were fired, and now they are in the alternative media, thank God. Or they also joined the new patriotic political party, the AfD. Now there are a couple of funny and interesting terms that Germans came up with in order to describe our media. One is Lügenpresse, and that means Lüge means lie, and Presse is press or the media. So Lügenpresse is the lying media. The typical and foreseeable response from the left and from the mainstream globalists was, of course, that this is a Nazi term because the Nazis also used that. Well, if you do some research, you actually find out that communists in the Second Reich or under the Kaiser, they also talked about Lügenpresse. So everyone who wants to say that the media is lying used that word in the past. It was used before the Nazis by the left also. So this Nazi terminology is just a little plot, a little device to silence people and to shame them. But you know, Hitler was a vegetarian, so what does that say now? All vegetarians are fascists? Come on. So it is literally just a word that says that the media is lying. So, and this became a very popular term in Germany, Lügenpresse, and you see it on many billboards and on many pamphlets now. And the other word is then that came afterwards. It is more subtle, but I think more humorous actually. It is Lückenpresse. So not Lügenpresse, but Lückenpresse. And Presse is again media, press, and Lücke means gap in Germany. So that means that they not always lie, but sometimes they conveniently leave out a certain fact that would be important to understand the actual story. So they actually spin and twist things by very, very selectively putting the spotlight on one aspect of the story and completely ignoring other aspects of it. For example, the nationality of a person, or the age of a person, or the actual perpetrator, or what happened before, and so on. There are so many examples on a daily basis, and there are people in the alternative media and from certain websites, for example, who diligently look up police reports and compare that to what the media writes about a certain incident, and they will actually then uncover these stories and give you the real story. And here is also why these privateers who dedicate their free time to uncovering these lies are so important for Germany, because the media in Germany officially stated now that they will not report on cases that show immigrants in a bad light. So if an immigrant rapes a woman, if he breaks into the house of a retired elderly couple and kills them for some cash, you know, they don't report about that because they literally say that they all agreed upon not reporting on these things so that there won't be any anti-immigration sentiment in the general public. And they say that without getting red. They don't get red in the face. They're not ashamed of that. They literally publicly announced that they will stop reporting on that stuff because the German population just cannot be trusted, you know. And another thing is that the story of the individual isolated cases. We call it Einzelfall. Fall means case, and Einzel is like independent, unconnected, you know, not connected to any broader scheme or broader pattern or something. So an isolated incident, an isolated case. And the media says, we don't report about isolated incidents. Yeah, wir berichten nicht über Einzelfälle. But the thing is, when there are thousands of these isolated incidents every week in every city in Germany, all of a sudden that haven't been here before 2015 in that large a number, it's impossible to still call these incidents isolated incidents. And especially when there is an ideology behind all that, an anti-Western, anti-European ideology that is behind all that. And when there is actually a global movement, a global culture that has the aim of colonizing Europe and of exchanging the native population of Europe with Africans and Middle Easterns. And this is what's going on. So to sum up, the most dominant part of the German media is actually literally a part of the government. It's a government office, basically. And even the quote-unquote independent press, the non-governmental press, is pretty much in bed with the political parties. And they're really socialist, communist, left-wing, green. And the strategies that they use is straight out lying. Like in one case, there was a reporter who even posed as a demonstrator, and he was actually giving off racist slurs all the time while being interviewed by his own colleague with a microphone and a camera. So it was a reporter of a TV station who actually acted for the interview as if he was one of the Pegida demonstrators. And then, after that was uncovered, they still wonder why we call them the lying media, the Lügenpresse. And if lying isn't enough, then they will just be the Lückenpresse. They will just not report on certain things. And when they report, they leave out the most crucial details, the most crucial information. And that is basically how the media works in Germany. And if you then add on top of that, most working class German people or normal middle class German people are very unpolitical, and we are kind of collectivist, and social harmony is seen as a virtue here, you end up at a situation where just no one wants to rock the boat, and they're kind of happy to hear these lies always, and they become angry when they see a nationalist protester who is against the euro or the EU or against immigration, because they are addicted to social harmony and social peace, and they're very apolitical, these middle class normie Germans. They just want their beer, they want to keep their jobs, and they want to keep the little privacy and the little family happiness that they have in their small little circle. And they're kind of putting their heads into the sand, and they're hoping that this will all end well and that they won't be bothered. But it's getting to a point where more and more people are bothered, and the impacts are getting closer, so to speak, and more people become really afraid now. And this is why these movements will not go away, why this new party is getting more and more votes, and why the traditional newspapers have less and less customers every quarter. And the only big newspaper who is really growing at the moment is a nationalist conservative newspaper called Junge Freiheit, and I like this newspaper a lot actually. And they are growing like crazy, and this is a clear signal where the direction is going. The mainstream becomes more and more left, will lie more and more in an outrageous fashion on a daily basis, and more people will wake up, and this will not stay like this forever. At some point the system has to change when the balance of power tips in the other direction, when the pendulum, so to speak, swings in the other direction. And we are living in exciting times, as I keep saying, and we will see what happens then. But this is a short little glimpse for you guys in how the German media works and how the German media actively takes a role in supporting the globalist establishment. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was informative for you. Have a great day. Servus, Kameraden.